For the right price, I'll be your girlfriend. I'll even go home with you for Christmas. I was scrolling through an app called Plus One, trying to find someone to play the part when my roommate, Chloe Davis, dropped that bombshell out of nowhere. She casually flipped her hair back and struck a pose that was probably meant to be playful, but honestly, it just about stopped my heart. I stared at her, my brain struggling to catch up. Wait, you? Chloe must have overheard me on the phone with my mom, getting the all-too-familiar ultimatum. Either bring a girlfriend home for Christmas this year, or don't bother coming home at all. To be clear, Chloe is gorgeous. Like, out of a magazine gorgeous, with a personality to match. If you're into the intimidating, keep your distance type of woman. We've been living in the same apartment for almost a year, and I'd never even considered making a move. A guy like me, a regular 9-to-5er with more student debt than savings, doesn't get the girl who looks like she was created in a lab for the sole purpose of dating tech billionaires. It just wasn't in the cards. But just like that, Chloe Davis became my contract girlfriend. The terms were simple. 5 days, $400 a day. She'd come home with me to Maple Creek, Ohio, and play the part of my loving girlfriend to get my family off my back. Before we shook on it, though, she laid down the law. I have no problem pretending to be your girlfriend, she said, her tone all business. But holding hands is my absolute limit. You try anything else, and I'll make you regret it. My jaw almost hit the floor. She was okay with holding hands? Honestly, I hadn't even dared to hope for that much. I was about to say something, probably something stupid, when her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, a flicker of annoyance crossing her face. So, we have a deal, she said, not waiting for my reply before disappearing into her room to take the call. A minute later, she poked her head out. Hey, quick question. Is there any way you could pay me up front? I blinked. Yeah, I guess. It was obvious something was wrong, but I didn't push it. I just nodded. Sure, I can sell it to you right now. I didn't even hesitate. I sent the full $2,000. Chloe checked her phone. Got it, she said with a curt nod. Thanks. Before I could respond, she shut the door. I could hear her muffled voice through the wall. I'm sending you $2,000 now, and I'll figure out the rest. No, I'm not coming home for Christmas this year. Yeah, I know. It clicked then. She must have been in some kind of financial trouble. That's why she'd agreed to this crazy scheme. Later that night, our other two roommates, Ben and Lily, got home. They were a couple and had been stuck working overtime until today, the official start of their holiday break. They threw their stuff into suitcases and took off for the airport without even stopping for dinner. My Amtrak ticket was for the next morning. I was in the kitchen, about to boil some water for a packet of ramen, when Chloe emerged from her room. In a move that was completely out of character, she walked over and said, "Let me get that for you." The offer was so unexpected, I just stood there for a second. Seeing the exhausted look on her face, I shook my head. "No, it's fine. I've got it. Have you eaten? I can make you one too." She didn't answer, just gently pushed me out of the way. "I'll do it." This time, I didn't argue. I went back to my room to do a final check of my bags. A few minutes later, I heard her call from the living room, "It's ready." I walked out to find 2 steaming bowls of ramen on the small dining table. She'd even sliced up a hot dog and dropped an egg in each one. She was already sitting down, phone in hand, typing furiously. I sat across from her. I couldn't hold back any longer. "Is everything okay?" I asked. She looked up, as if snapping out of trance. "Huh? Oh yeah, everything's fine. Let's eat." I let it drop. We weren't close enough for me to pry if she didn't want to talk. After we finished, Chloe started to say, "I'll clean up." I was already on my feet, taking both bowls to the sink. She watched me for a moment, then turned toward her room. "Is the ticket booked?" she asked from her doorway. I nodded. "Yep. Train leaves at 9:30 a.m. We should probably leave here by 7, just in case traffic is bad." "Okay," she said. "I'll set an alarm." The next morning, when I finally dragged myself out of bed, Chloe was already up and had made breakfast. "Morning," she said, seeing me. "Go get ready. We need to leave as soon as we're done eating." I mumbled an okay and headed for the bathroom. Watching her bustle around the table, a strange thought hit me. What if she was really my girlfriend? It would be nice. It was a fleeting, ridiculous fantasy. In the real world, I wouldn't even dare to dream it. After a quick breakfast, Chloe insisted on washing the dishes while I grabbed my luggage. When I came out, she was ready to go, holding only a single tote bag. I looked at her, confused. "That's all you're bringing?" "It's enough," she said. "Just a change of clothes and toiletries." I'm wearing my only coat. It's only for a few days. I didn't press it and called an Uber. The whole ride, she was glued to her phone, her thumb flying across the screen. I wanted to ask what was going on, but I kept my mouth shut. The pre-holiday traffic was, as predicted, a nightmare, and I could see the tension building in her face. I was used to it. The holiday travel rush was an annual tradition. By the time we got to Union Station, it was a sea of people. I grabbed my suitcase with one hand and my duffel bag with the other. "Stay close," I yelled over the noise. Chloe nodded, and then, to my complete shock, she slipped her arm through mine. My heart did a little jump. I looked at her, stunned. She just frowned. "What are you staring at?" "Let's go." "Right, yeah," I stammered, leading the way through the crowd. Every seat in the waiting area was taken, with people spilling out onto the floor. I pointed to my suitcase. "Here, you can sit on this." I stood beside her while she sat. She immediately pulled out her phone and started texting again, ignoring me completely. I took the opportunity to call my mom and let her know I was bringing the girlfriend home. My mom didn't believe me for a second. She demanded a video call as proof. After hanging up, I turned to Chloe. "Hey, my mom wants to video chat. To, prove you're real." I expected her to refuse, but she just shrugged. "Fine." Surprised, I immediately dialed my mom back on FaceTime. As soon as the call connected, I flipped the camera to Chloe. My mom's face appeared on the screen, her eyes wide. She was silent for a long moment. Chloe gave a practiced, charming wave. "Hi, Mrs. Miller." My mom finally found her voice. "Honey, are you really Liam's girlfriend?" Chloe seemed a little taken aback by the bluntness, but recovered quickly with a laugh. "Of course I am. Why would I lie about that?" "I don't know," my mom said, her voice laced with suspicion. "I see these videos on TikTok all the time about guys who hire fake girlfriends to take home for the holidays. You're not one of those, are you?" Chloe's smile tightened, just a fraction. "Of course not, Mrs. Miller." I felt a knot form in my stomach. I hadn't realized my mom was so up-to-date on internet trends. "So what do you see in my Liam?" my mom pressed on. Chloe's eyebrows drew together. "Mrs. Miller, he's your son. Don't you have any faith in him?" "I have faith that he can get a girlfriend," my mom retorted. "It's a girlfriend who looks like you that makes me suspicious." "Well, I can assure you, I'm the real deal," Chloe said smoothly. But my mom wasn't done. "Listen, honey, I just want you to know we aren't rich. We don't have some big company. His father and I are just regular people. There's no big inheritance waiting for him." A few people sitting near us started to snicker. Mortified, I snatched the phone back and turned the camera on myself. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Liam, you need to be honest with this girl," she said, completely serious. "She needs to know we're a simple family." "I know, Mom, I know. We'll talk when we get there," I said, rushing to end the call before she could say anything else. After I hung up, I noticed several people nearby were staring at us. I could read the disbelief in their eyes. Even strangers didn't buy that Chloe was my girlfriend. I managed a weak, embarrassed smile. Just then, Chloe seemed to sense my discomfort. She leaned in and said, loud enough for those around us to hear, "Babe, I'm thirsty. Did you bring any water?" The word babe jolted me. It took me a second to realize she was helping me save face. I quickly pulled a bottle of water from my bag and handed it to her, giving her a grateful look. She just gave a slight shrug and went back to her phone. The onlookers seemed to lose interest, shaking their heads with expressions that clearly screamed, "That guy is punching way above his weight." Soon, we boarded the train. After finding our seats, I let Chloe take the window, and I sat on the aisle. Throughout the ride, I caught people giving us strange looks, and it started to get on my nerves. But then I remembered that even my own mother didn't believe me, so why would anyone else? For the next 4 hours, Chloe barely said a word, her attention fixed on her phone. Finally, I had to ask, "Is everything okay at home? Me dragging you to my family's Christmas isn't causing any problems, is it?" She finally looked up from her phone and shook her head. "It's fine. I told my family I wasn't coming home this year." I nodded slowly. "Well, if you need anything, just let me know. I know we're just, but if I can help, I will." She looked at me for a long moment before nodding. She didn't say anything else, just asked how much longer until we arrived. "About half an hour," I told her. "Then it's a 1-hour bus ride from the station." "Okay," she murmured. "I'm going to close my eyes for a bit." "Sure," I said. "I'll wake you when we get there." She said nothing more, just leaned her head back and closed her eyes. A few minutes later, I felt a gentle weight on my shoulder. I glanced over and saw that she had slumped against me, fast asleep. I sat perfectly still, not wanting to wake her. I could smell the faint, clean scent of her hair, and it sent a pleasant flutter through my chest. When we arrived, I gently woke her. She realized she was leaning on me, but didn't make a big deal out of it, just rubbed her eyes and followed me off the train. We squeezed onto a crowded bus, and an hour later, we were in my hometown. My parents own a small supermarket right on the main street of our town. It was just a short walk from the bus stop. When we walked in, I stopped in my tracks. The store was packed with relatives. The moment they saw me, they rushed forward. Not towards me, but straight for Chloe. We both froze, completely unprepared for the ambush. My aunts and uncles swarmed her, their voices a chorus of welcoming questions. One asked if she was tired, another if she was hungry. My younger cousin stared at Chloe for a long time, then at me, then back at Chloe. "So," he said, "what exactly do you see in my cousin? His family isn't sitting on some secret fortune, you know?" Chloe laughed, a bright, easy sound. "I just love how good he is to me." My cousin looked utterly baffled. He pulled me aside. "Dude, seriously, does she have a sister? Or a friend?" With that line, I shot back. "Even if she did, you wouldn't have a chance." My mom finally intervened, shooing the relatives away from Chloe. "All right, everyone, give the girl some space. Don't scare her off." Chloe just smiled graciously. "It's okay, Mrs. Miller. Everyone is so nice." My mom beamed and pulled out a Christmas card, pressing it into Chloe's hand. It was thick with cash. Chloe stared at the card, stunned. "Oh, Mrs. Miller, I couldn't possibly," she said, trying to hand it back. "Nonsense," my mom insisted. "Unless what I said on the phone was true, and you're just pretending. This is her first time meeting the family. Of course she gets a gift. It's tradition." Trapped, Chloe had no choice but to accept the card. I watched from the side, saying nothing. One by one, my other relatives came over and gave her cards of their own, each containing a crisp bill. She accepted them all with a polite smile. Next, I took her to see my grandma, who was instantly smitten. Not only did she give Chloe another card, but she also pressed a small, antique gold locket into her hand. "Dear, this was given to me by my mother-in-law," she said, her voice soft. "It's part of a pair. I gave the other one to Liam's mother. This one is for you." Chloe took it without protest, then spent the next 10 minutes charming my grandma, making her laugh. When I finally managed to escape and take our luggage upstairs, I found my room had been redecorated. My mom had replaced my normal gray comforter with a bright red one, covered in festive holly. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. Chloe followed me into the room, and her eyes widened at the sight of the bed. She leaned in and whispered, "We agreed, Liam. Holding hands, and that's it. I'll give you back all this cash and the locket when we get back to Chicago." I couldn't say anything. My mom was still downstairs in the living room. Once the door was closed, I let out a breath. "Don't worry," I whispered back. "I'll sleep on the floor." Chloe nodded, relieved, and started to look around my room. Her eyes landed on the wall above my desk, which was covered in Student of the Month certificates and honor roll awards. "Wow," she said, genuinely surprised. "I wouldn't have pegged you as a straight A student." I laughed. That was all in elementary school. It was all downhill after I hit middle school. Seeing how tired she looked, I said, "You should get some rest. I'll wake you up for dinner." She shook her head. "No, it wouldn't look right if I just went to sleep. I'll rest after dinner." I didn't argue. When we went back downstairs, Chloe was immediately pulled into another circle of relatives wanting to know her life story. My dad motioned for me to join him in his office. "So, Liam," he said, closing the door, "is this one serious?" I shrugged, trying to act casual. "We're just seeing where it goes, you know." He gave me a look. "Don't get cocky. If you're with her, you'd better treat her right." "I will, Dad. Don't worry," I said. My heart sank a little. This girlfriend was on a contract that expired in a few days. Dinner was a full house. Everyone at the table was competing for Chloe's attention, and she handled it like a pro. She answered every question, laughed at every joke, and acted so convincingly that for a moment, even I forgot it was all an act. Seeing her so at ease, I finally started to relax. After dinner, the relatives started to leave. "Mom," I said, "Chloe's exhausted. I think we're going to turn in early." My mom's eyes lit up. Of course, of course. You two go on up. Don't worry about a thing down here." I meant she's tired, I clarified. I'm not. But she was already herding us toward the stairs. You sat on a train all day. How could you not be tired? Go rest. Before I could protest further, she had pushed us both into my room and closed the door behind us. I quickly locked it and went to the closet to get some extra blankets to make a bed on the floor. But when I opened it, the shelves were completely empty. Not a single spare pillow or blanket. I stood there dumbfounded. What was I supposed to do now? Chloe, seeing the empty closet and the look on my face, whispered, "You don't think your mom did that on purpose, do you?" Hearing her say it, I knew it was true. My mom was already suspicious. This had to be another one of her tests. She was trying to force our hand, to turn this fake relationship into a real one. Just as panic began to set in, Chloe sighed. Well, at least there are 2 blankets on the bed. I guess. You can sleep on the bed. We'll each take one. I couldn't believe my luck. Really? But, she added, pointing a finger at me, if you try anything funny during the night, don't think I'll go easy on you. You have nothing to worry about, I said quickly. Besides, you know where I live. It's not like I could get away with it. She nodded, then seemed to realize what she'd implied. You couldn't get away with it anyway. I just smiled. I know. I won't. Truthfully, I was exhausted. I started to pull off my sweater, ready to sleep. What are you doing? Chloe asked, staring at me. Going to bed? I said, confused. What else would I be doing? She rolled her eyes. You going to sleep just like that? I was genuinely baffled. How else am I supposed to sleep? Is there some special holiday, ritual I'm missing? Go take a shower, she hissed. You've been traveling all day. I blinked. Back in Chicago, I went to bed like this all the time. I wanted to point out that we weren't even sharing the same blanket, but I knew it would be a losing battle. I grabbed some clothes and headed to the in-suite bathroom. When I came out, Chloe went in with her things. I got into bed and listened to the sound of the water running, my mind wandering to places it definitely shouldn't. She emerged a few minutes later in a pair of silk pajamas, her hair damp and wrapped in a towel. It wasn't the first time I'd seen her after a shower, but back at our apartment, she always went straight to her room. Tonight, she was here in my room, and the air was suddenly filled with the scent of her shampoo. I swallowed hard. She paid me no mind, plugging in a hairdryer and starting on her hair. I lay there, propped up on my pillows, just watching her. The warm air from the dryer seemed to carry her scent directly to me, and it was driving me crazy. I couldn't help but fantasize. If she were really my girlfriend, would every night be like this? Suddenly, she caught me staring in the mirror. What are you looking at? I felt my face flush. Nothing, I said, shaking my head a little too quickly. She turned around and gave me a long, searching look. Liam, don't get any ideas. This is fake, remember? Her words burst my happy little bubble. Annoyed, I flopped back onto the bed. Yeah, I know. I am tired. I'm going to sleep. She watched me for another moment before turning back to the mirror. When she was done, she climbed into bed, keeping a careful distance, and started scrolling through her phone. The scent of her perfume was intoxicating, and my mind was a jumble of conflicting emotions. I wanted this to be real so badly, but I didn't dare do anything to jeopardize our fragile arrangement. I glanced over and saw her typing a message on WhatsApp. How's Mom doing today? A reply came back almost instantly. The doctor wants to keep her for a few more days of observation. Don't worry, sis. My heart clenched. So her mom was sick. That's why she needed the money. As I was processing this, Chloe turned her head and saw me looking at her phone. She immediately locked the screen. What do you think you're doing? It's rude to read other people's texts. I sat up. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to. I just happened to see it when I looked over. She huffed and turned away. I hesitated, then asked, What's wrong with your mom? She looked at me over her shoulder, her expression cold. It's none of your business. Her words felt like a slap in the face. She was right. What was it to me? Who was I to her? Still, I couldn't let it go. I wasn't trying to pry, I said softly. I just wanted to say, if you need anything, you can tell me. She let out a short, humorless laugh. What good would that do? I need money. Do you have any? Her question was a challenge. How much? I asked without thinking. Chloe just looked at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Forget it, she said, turning away again. This is my family's problem. You don't need to get involved. I persisted. We may not be a real couple, but we've been roommates for a year. Friends can care about each other, can't they? She didn't answer, just lay there with her back to me, silent. Is your mom sick? I asked quietly. She took a deep breath. Yes. Is it serious? Yes. Does it require a lot of money? Yes. I didn't ask any more questions. I just lay there, my mind racing, trying to figure out a way to help her. I don't know how long I stayed awake just staring at her back, but eventually I drifted off. The next morning, Christmas Eve, I woke up to find her side of the bed empty. I quickly threw on some clothes and went downstairs, but she wasn't in the living room. I found her outside the supermarket, helping my mom sort vegetables. The two of them were laughing and chatting like old friends, and the sight made my heart ache with a strange mix of hope and sadness. My mom spotted me. Look who's finally awake, she called out. Chloe's been up for hours, you lazy bum. She gave me a sly, knowing wink. I knew exactly what she was thinking. Chloe glanced at me and quickly came to my rescue. He was exhausted from carrying all the luggage yesterday. He fell asleep as soon as his head hit the pillow. My mom's smile faltered, replaced by a look of clear disappointment. Oh, was all she said. Just then, my grandma called Chloe over. I seized the opportunity. Mom, I said in a low voice, I need to borrow some money. She frowned. Borrow money? On Christmas Eve? What for? It's for Chloe, I explained quickly. Her mom's really sick, and I think they need a lot of money for her medical bills. I want to help her. My mom was silent for a long time, her expression thoughtful. It wasn't her idea, I added hastily. She hasn't said a word to me about it. I saw a text by accident. She doesn't even know I'm asking. My mom looked me straight in the eye. Are you serious about this girl, Liam? What do you mean? Are you planning on marrying her? Does she want to marry you? A wave of panic washed over me, but I forced it down. Of course. Any relationship that isn't heading toward marriage is just a waste of time. That seemed to be the right answer. She nodded slowly. Okay, I don't have much, but I can give you $8,000. Don't even think about asking your father. And listen, you two aren't married yet. This is the most we can do, and it's a huge gesture of goodwill from our family. I couldn't believe it. I threw my arms around her and gave her a loud kiss on the cheek. Mom, you're the best. You really are. She pushed me away, but she was smiling. Oh, so if I'd said no, I wouldn't be. You're my mom, whether you lend me the money or not. I grinned. In that case, I'm not lending it, she teased. What? No, you have to. I pleaded. She grumbled playfully, then went inside the store. I thought she was joking, but she came back out with her bank card and pressed it into my hand. Just don't forget your old mom once you have a wife, you hear? I gave her another kiss. Mom, this is a loan. I'll pay you back, I swear. I started to walk away, but she grabbed my arm. Liam, the money is for Chloe, but you need to be clear with her. You're not married yet. This is a loan to her family, and they need to be the ones to pay it back. I hadn't even thought about that. I just nodded eagerly. Got it. Her family pays it back. Understood. When Chloe came back from talking with my grandma, I pulled her aside and slipped the card into her hand. She looked down at it, then back at me, completely baffled. What's this? I gave her what I hoped was a reassuring smile. There's $8,000 on there. Use it for your mom's treatment. If it's not enough, we'll figure something out. She immediately tried to give it back. No, Liam, I can't take this. Her health is what's important right now. I insisted. Just think of it as a loan. You can pay me back whenever you can. She hesitated, clearly torn. I could see how much she needed it, but her pride was in the way. All right, you and I owe you, she said finally. I laughed. You don't need to do that. It's not like you're going to disappear. Tears welled up in her eyes. I could see how moved she was. We had just finished lunch when Chloe's phone rang. As she listened, the color drained from her face. My mom noticed immediately and asked what was wrong. Chloe hung up and turned to me, her voice trembling. I have to go home. Now. What happened? I asked. My mom, she said, her voice cracking. Her condition just got worse. My mom's face fell. She looked at me. Liam, you go with her. See if there's anything you can do to help. Chloe started to protest, but my mom was insistent. She pulled me aside and whispered, You have to go with her. Mom, are you afraid she's going to run off with the money? I whispered back. She shot me an irritated look. Do you really think that's what I care about right now? No. This is when her family needs to see you step up. This is your chance to prove you're a good future son-in-law. Now go. My head spun. Future son-in-law? I didn't dare tell my mom the truth now. I just nodded and went with Chloe. On the way to the bus station, she said again, You really don't have to come. If I don't, I reasoned. The whole story falls apart, right? She sighed, but didn't argue anymore. On the bus, she was constantly on the phone with her dad, getting updates and letting him know she was on her way. I learned that her mom had a chronic heart condition and had undergone bypass surgery a few days ago. She had been stable, but something had suddenly gone wrong. Thankfully, her hometown wasn't too far from mine. We arrived late that night and took a taxi straight to the hospital. We found her dad sitting alone in the hallway outside the operating room. He stood up as we approached and quickly explained the situation to Chloe. When he finished, he looked at me. "Chloe, who is this?" Chloe glanced at me, then back at her dad. "He's a friend." I won't lie, that stung. But what else could she say? We weren't really a couple. Just then, the doors to the operating room swung open, and her mom was wheeled out on a gurney. Chloe and her dad rushed over to the doctor. "She's lucky we caught it in time," the doctor said. "We've stabilized her for now, but you need to settle the bill for the surgery as soon as possible." "I'll go right now," Chloe said, clutching the bank card I'd given her. While she went to the billing office, her dad and I followed the gurney to the recovery room. Her mom was still unconscious from the anesthesia. Her dad looked at me. "You're her boyfriend, aren't you?" I was startled. "Oh no, sir, I'm not." He cut me off. "You must care about her a lot to come all this way with her on Christmas Eve." I didn't know what to say. Of course I care about her. How could anyone not? "Thank you," he said simply. "It's nothing," I mumbled, trying to comfort him. A few minutes later, Chloe came back. She looked worried. "I'm so sorry," she said to me. "There was more than $8,000 on that card. The bill was more than that. I overcharged it by about $1,200. "Don't worry about it," I said immediately. "The most important thing is that your mom is okay. We can figure out the money later." She gave me a look of profound gratitude. While Chloe and her dad went into the room to be with her mom, I stepped out into the hallway and called my own mother. I explained what had happened, including the overcharge on her card. I knew she'd see the transaction notification on her phone anyway. To my surprise, she wasn't upset at all. "Don't worry about the money," she said. "Saving a life is more important than anything else." "Thanks, Mom," I said, my voice thick with emotion. Later that night, Chloe's mom woke up. She was weak, but her eyes lit up when she saw Chloe. After a few minutes of quiet conversation between them, her mom's gaze fell on me. "And who is this?" Before Chloe could answer, her dad jumped in. "That's Chloe's boyfriend." Chloe and I both froze. She opened her mouth to correct him, but then she saw the look of pure relief and happiness on her mother's face. "Oh," her mom said, a small smile forming. "That's wonderful." Chloe closed her mouth and just shot me a confused look. She didn't understand why her dad would say that. I didn't either at first, but I gave her dad a thankful glance. I found out later that he'd been standing nearby when I was on the phone with my mom. He'd overheard everything. In his mind, any man willing to spend that kind of money on his daughter had to be her boyfriend. For the next week, Chloe's mom remained in the hospital for observation. Chloe and I split our time between the hospital and her parents' house. I couldn't help with the big medical things, but I made myself useful running errands, getting food, and just being there for support. I called my boss and extended my holiday leave, waiting until her mom was finally discharged before I even thought about going back. Her parents were incredibly grateful. I often saw them whispering to each other while looking at me, and they would corner Chloe to talk whenever I wasn't around, which always left her blushing. The day before I was scheduled to return to Chicago, her parents took me aside. "Liam, we can't thank you enough for everything you've done," her dad said. "It was nothing, sir," I replied with a smile. "Ma'am, you just focus on getting better. That's the most important thing." Her dad insisted that Chloe take me out for a proper dinner before seeing me off at the bus station. At the restaurant, Chloe told me to order whatever I wanted. I just ordered a bowl of pasta. I wasn't that hungry. "Liam," she said, her voice serious. "Thank you. I don't know how else to say it, but I am so grateful for everything." I just shrugged. It's what anyone would have done. "I'm just glad your mom's okay." She looked down at her hands, then back up at me, like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. "What is it?" I asked. She shook her head. "Nothing. It's just, I have to stay here until my mom is fully recovered. It'll be a while before I can come back." "Of course," I said. "Family comes first. What I mean is," she continued, "I'll probably lose my job. It might take me a little longer to pay you back." I wanted so badly to say, Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. But I didn't. In the past week, we had grown closer, and our relationship had shifted from a purely transactional one to a genuine friendship. I was afraid that if I said what I was really feeling, I would scare her off and lose even that. So instead, I just said, don't worry about the money. And if you need more, just let me know. She gave me a small, grateful nod, and we finished our meal in comfortable silence. After a day off, I was back at work in Chicago, but things felt different. I couldn't stop thinking about Chloe. Every time I came home from work and saw her dark, empty room, I felt a pang of loneliness. One night, my roommate Ben asked me, "Hey, is Chloe ever coming back? Rent's due soon. If she's not, we need to find someone else to split it with." "She's coming back," I said immediately. "I'll cover her share for now." Ben stared at me, his eyebrows raised. "You and her." I didn't explain. "She'll be back," was all I said. As long as the rent was paid, he didn't care. 3 weeks later, Chloe finally returned. She was thinner, but she looked well. The first thing she did was hand me back my mom's bank card. "The total came to $10,500, she said formally, plus the $2,000 you sent me before. So I owe you $12,500. I'm keeping a record." I took the card but shook my head. "Forget the first $2,000. That was your payment for the job. And don't worry about the rest. Pay me back when you can." "No," she insisted. "I didn't even last a full 5 days. I can't take that money." "But I was at your house for over a week," I countered with a grin. "And you were still technically my girlfriend. By my calculations, you worked overtime. I got a bargain." She looked at me, and a real, genuine smile spread across her face. "Thank you, Liam." "You know," I said, "you could just tell your parents the truth." She looked surprised. "Explain what?" "Us," I said. "Our relationship. They still think I'm your boyfriend." She raised an eyebrow. "And your parents still think I'm your girlfriend. In fact, your mom messages me on WhatsApp every other day." That was news to me. "What? My mom has your number." "She got it the first day we were there," Chloe said. "So, when are you going to explain things to your mom?" I ran a hand through my hair. I don't know how to bring it up." "And you think I do?" she retorted. "So what do we do?" I asked, completely lost. She looked at me, a challenge in her eyes. "You're the man. You're supposed to figure these things out, aren't you? Or am I supposed to handle this too?" I felt a headache coming on. How am I supposed to solve this? I can't tell the truth, but I can't keep lying either. She rolled her eyes. "That's your problem to solve. Whatever you decide, I'll back you up. I'll follow your lead completely." A reckless idea popped into my head. "So, if I were to suggest we just make it real, you go along with that?" Chloe looked at me, a slow, mysterious smile spreading across her lips. "How do you know I wouldn't?"